Today, I'm venturing deep into the Arizona desert to uncover the truth behind Sedona's mysterious energy vortexes. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Rolling with Bam Man. As you already know, I'm in the beautiful Sedona Park of Arizona. And while it is absolutely stunning out here, it's not the beauty that we're here for. But before we jump into our investigation of these vortexes, there's 3 questions we need to address first. 1, what even is an energy vortex? 2, how do the vortexes specifically here influence the energy in Sedona? And 3, what can you expect to feel when you yourself are at one of these energy vortexes? And to answer that 3rd question, I'm going to the vortexes myself, and we're gonna find out. And y'all, I put a lot of research into this video, so I really hope you find it interesting. Oh, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm Bam Man, and me and the Longship go camping in some beautiful places just like this. And I'm very happy to have you along on this adventure. Let's get back to it. Alright, let's begin with question 1. What is an energy vortex? Now, for this to make sense, we have to understand the concept of vortex theory, which is largely influenced by Native Americans that used to dominate this area. A vortex is said to be a concentrated, swirling center of energy where the Earth's power lines meet. And it is believed that at these vortexes, energy enters the Earth in 2 ways. Downward inward energy into the Earth, or upward flowing energy out of the Earth. Now, these upward flowing energy vortexes are said to help release negative patterns, whereas the downward inward vortexes promote introspection. People that visit these vortexes report sensations such as warmth, coolness, or even emotional shifts. I read a lot of reports online of people having these extreme, profound experiences at these vortexes. They consider them extremely spiritual healing. And there's thought to be vortexes all around the world. And it just so happens that Sedona, Arizona happens to be a big hot spot for these energy vortexes. Which brings us to question number 2. How do these specific vortexes influence the energy in Sedona? Now, to answer this question, we gotta look 40 years in the past. Around the 1970s and 80s, the New Age movement came here to Sedona. This brought a huge increase in people striving to improve their metaphysical and spiritual health. And it's important to note that no single individual can be credited for bringing the New Age movement here to Sedona, but there were some key events. And there had always been myths of these supposed energy vortexes residing right here in Sedona. So with the New Age movement, people began to come to Sedona in search of these vortexes, hoping for some kind of healing spiritual experience. Now, this marks one of the key events that brought a lot of these spiritual seeking people to Sedona. In 1980, there was a psychic named Paige Bryant. Paige released an audio recording titled The Earth Changes Survival Handbook. In this audio recording, she claimed that a spiritual being named Albion revealed these vortexes to her. And this is what led her to Sedona. The New Age movement continued to grow, and 7 years later, in August of 1987, an influx of 10,000 people traveled here to Sedona for an event called the Harmonic Convergence. Now, it's thought that on this date, which was marked by the Mayan calendar, that there would be a rare alignment of planets, and with the power of mass meditation, it'd be possible to usher in a new era of consciousness for people around the world, basically attempting to change the thought process for everybody in the world for the better. And it was estimated that about 144,000 people worldwide participated in this mass meditation event, about 10,000 of them being right here in Sedona. And ever since then, these vortexes have been a very sought after spiritual experience in Sedona. And there's still guided tours offered to this day of these vortexes, but you gotta pay for that. And I don't want you guys to waste your money. So I'm going to be taking y'all on not only a better tour of these vortexes, but a tour for absolutely free. Which brings us to question number 3. What can you yourself expect when visiting these energy vortexes? And what better way to answer that question than to visit these vortexes ourselves? So without further ado, let's load up the Longship. Let's get on this adventure. Let's roll, y'all. And the first vortex that we're stopping at is right here at Bell Rock. I'm gonna get a little further up the trail and I'll tell you guys all about it. Let's head up the mountain. Now, they say that the vortex here at Bell Rock is no stronger at the summit, at the very top of the rock, than it is at the bottom here. And because there's so many people climbing on the rock right now, I'm gonna try to find a little bit more of a secluded area down here at the base and see if I can feel the energy from this vortex. Going kind of a sketchy way, but oh well. Don't want to slip here. Alright, doesn't look like there's much higher to go from here, unless I want a straight rock climb. I think I'm gonna find a spot on one of these a little bit lower. And there's the top of Bell Rock. So as I said earlier, the energy from the vortex has no effect whether or not you go higher or lower on the rock. It's the same at the base as it is at the peak, which is why I settled on this spot rather than going all the way to the top where it's way more crowded. Now, unlike many of the other vortexes here in Sedona, Bell Rock is not recognized as a Native American cultural site. The legend behind Bell Rock is actually much more mysterious. Now, there's a number of claims as to what Bell Rock really is. Some believe aliens planted some sort of giant crystal ball underneath the rock, which acts as some kind of energy source. Others believe it's some sort of trans-dimensional energy portal, where you can actually travel between dimensions. And some say Bell Rock itself is an alien spaceship. But one thing that everybody has in common is that they feel some sort of energy permeating from Bell Rock. And this is an upward flowing vortex known for its masculine energy. I hope no one saw that. And it's supposed to be perfect for higher thinking and problem solving. It's perfect for me because I'm a very high thinker myself. Now, reading reports online is great and everything, but I want to try to feel this energy for myself. So I'm just going to sit here on this cliffside, in the peace and quiet, and just kind of reflect on life. Think about worries and difficulties. Try to really focus on the energy coming from the vortex. Alright, I've been sitting here for about 30 minutes now, y'all. And I will say, as I'm sitting here all alone on this peaceful cliffside, in the peace and quiet, looking out over these mountains, and these trees, and the valley, you're completely overcome with this sense of peace and inner quiet, and almost inner stillness. For some reason, as soon as I sat down and really started to look out over the rocks and just kind of let my thoughts play out, I started to think about my childhood and just remembering that childlike feeling of being completely innocent, almost oblivious to the world around you. And for a couple seconds, I could almost feel that completely free feeling that you have as a child. You know, before you're met with the worries of the world and life. I don't know, it's very difficult to put into words. It definitely brings out a very emotional feeling from within. It's nice to just kind of look out on the rocks, the different patterns of the trees, and just let all your thoughts play out and see where it takes you. Now, whether all these sensations are coming from the energy of the vortex here at Bell Rock, or just from purely being in nature and this beautiful scenery, I guess that's really up for you to decide yourself. But there is a very spiritual, almost profound feeling here. I mean, you're completely surrounded by nature every which way you look. Very safe feeling as well. One thing I love about being in nature is everything's so much slower. Get away from the fast-paced life of being in the city. And I'm not just talking big city. You can live in the smallest town in the world, but life still moves fast. But when you're out completely isolated in nature, it really feels like everything does slow down. You're able to just take your time with everything. Process all your thoughts. Peaceful. So I was looking online for some stories of some kind of extreme experiences that I could read up on and share with you guys. And I came across one that I thought was very interesting. Now, there's a shaman here in Sedona that leads guided tours to various vortex points. And he claims he knows of secret spots unknown to the public, where the vortex energy is very intense and there's not many people around. And he writes on his blog about these experiences with these people that he takes on these spiritual journeys to these vortex points. And one of the stories that I read that caught my interest was about these two business partners that went on one of these spiritual journeys together with the shaman. And the shaman's name is Greg, by the way. Greg writes that at some point on this journey, one of these men had shared with him some childhood issues that he had been dealing with. Now, Greg could tell that this wasn't a light thing. He even writes that for a man to even bring that up, he knew that it was something deep and very important. So he treated it as such. And as they're walking along this trail, Greg gets this inner feeling. Something inside him is telling him to veer off right on this smaller animal trail, off of the trail that they were on. And right after this, Greg sees his client's father walk through the veil. Now, Greg shares the vision that he had with the man, and he suggested a certain spot for him to stand in where he saw his father. And Greg writes that this man was completely open to this, which he really appreciated. Now Greg separates the rest of the people from that man so he can have a moment alone in that spot. After about 5 minutes, Greg went to check on the man and he found him in a completely emotional state. He shared that he too saw his father and that he came over and gave him a big hug. And this man told Greg he could physically feel his father's arms wrapped around him. And he told Greg that with that hug, all of his childhood troubles immediately faded away. He said he had never felt so light before in his life, and he thanked Greg immensely. So it was clearly a very, very profound experience for this man. And this is just one of the many stories that Shaman Greg writes on his website. Go check it out if you want to see more. But I think we've done enough healing here at Bell Rock. It's time to move on to our next vortex point. Alright, we're gonna scurry down this mountain, get back to the Longship. Let's roll, y'all. And they say Bell Rock gets its name from the shape. I mean, I guess if it means a bell curve like in math, but they don't look like no bell to me. Alright. Alright, found another little parking lot right next to the airport. Airport is literally right behind this fence. Talk about TSA. And before we walk down to the mesa, I'm gonna make up a little grilled cheese because I'm hungry. But the parking attendant told me that we're actually within range of the vortex right now. I guess this one's got a 7-mile range, and we're within that because we're only about a mile from the vortex. So let's whip up this energy-infused grilled cheese, and then let's get down there. So like I said, there's a little plateau down there where the energy is said to be the highest. We're parked about a mile away from that. Now, unlike Bell Rock, this is a downward, inward vortex, or a negative one. The vortex here at Airport Mesa is said to promote inner reflection and introspection. Now, this spot has long been a spiritual energy site for Native Americans. But in the mid-1900s, more people started to catch on and notice this pertinent energy emanating from this spot. People would climb to the top of the mesa in search of spiritual and even physical healing. And this was one of the first vortex sites that started to get popularized here in Sedona. They also say this is one of the best spots in Sedona to watch the sunrise and sunset, so hence why we're here at sunset. And the energy here is supposedly very strong. People report feeling tingling in their hands and feet when they're meditating here. So without further ado, let's get down into the mesa ourselves and see what we feel. Alright, Joe, I got about 30 minutes till sunset. Hustling to get there. And I think I'm going in the right spot. But I don't know, I've been going downhill for quite some time now, which doesn't seem right. And the sun's that way, but we're gonna just keep going. I trust my instinct on this one. Alright, I think this is the top of the mesa. So I think we're in the right place. I want to set up the camera, get the time lapse as much of the sun as I can going down for you guys. So I'm trying to hustle up right now. Look how beautiful it is, y'all. And this is the Airport Mesa that people originally would climb to get to this energy vortex in pursuit of spiritual and physical healing, or just introspection, inner reflection, and meditation. This is the summit of the plateau for Airport Mesa Vortex. Beautiful view on this hike back as well. Now this vortex was much more crowded than Bell Rock, so it was a little more difficult to get a feel for the energy. So I threw in my headphones to try to concentrate a little bit more. As I was up on top of the Airport Mesa Vortex meditating, I definitely felt an inner sense of calmness and peace Now that could be attributed to a number of things, whether it's just being out in nature, feeling connected to the outdoors, just being in that meditative state in general, or it could be the energy coming from the vortex. But at the end of the day, it's really up to you what you want to believe. I personally think it's fun to believe that there's some energy being emanated from these vortexes that do make a difference in your meditations, in your physical and spiritual feeling, especially at Bell Rock where we had a more quiet setting, much more secluded and intimate. I definitely felt something when I was there meditating at Bell Rock, and it was something special, I'll say that. I mean, we didn't have any kind of crazy transformational experience like we read about, but maybe that's just not what we needed today. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you think about these vortexes? Do you think there truly is some kind of spiritual benefit from being at them, from the energy? Let me know in the comments. You think the vortexes are legit or not? Now, regardless of what you believe, I'll tell you what is legit is the money and the economy that's stimulated from these vortexes. Ever since Page Bryant and the harmonic convergence in 1987, Sedona has become famous for their vortexes. People travel from all over to come experience them. And you can clearly see there's a heavy influence on the town of Sedona itself. A lot of psychic shops, crystal shops, things like that, different services and whatnot, palm readings, and all, or at least most of that, likely stemmed from these vortexes. I mean, even the guided tours. I saw 3 guided tour trucks pull up in the parking lot just in the time I've been here. And we read about those more freelance private tours that Greg, the shaman, would do. So clearly, these vortexes have benefited the town of Sedona, not only spiritually, but economically as well. You can see the town right below me right now. And we're almost back to the car, y'all. Made it just in time before it gets completely dark out. Alright, y'all, that is gonna do it for the Sedona Vortex video. I really hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. I seriously put a lot of research and effort into this video, so if you enjoyed yourself at any moment throughout the video, please feel free to let me know by leaving a like or a comment, or both, even better. Seriously, get so inspired by your comments. I love them. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, join the family. We got another huge adventure coming this week. We're headed into the Grand Canyon and exploring a mystery cave, so stay tuned for that. And if you like the style of today's video, go check out my giant rock video where I explore the largest freestanding boulder in the world, which also happens to be a UFO alien hotspot. As always, appreciate the hell out of you guys for watching. Peace, y'all.